Madam Chair, Your Worship, and today is a representative of the 1,000 Hamiltonians from all across the city who gathered earlier this year in support of Hamilton's Women's March event and to discuss the community benefit of the LRT system for women in Hamilton, and specifically the benefit of a Bay Street stop. LRT and women's rights may seem like curious bedfellows at first, but a closer examination shows they are very natural partners. In fact, Anastasia Lucalia-Sideris, professor of urban planning at UCLA, said, quote, "There are many studies that indicate that there are women who are riding transit out of necessity. Women are captive transit users. If there is one car in the family, it is often driven by the man in the household. Men are much more likely to use motorbikes or mopeds than women. Taking a taxi is often too expensive to be an option. For many of these women, public transit is the only transportation option." The foundation of a woman's well-being is health care. We have already committed as a Women's March movement to advocating for access to affordable and inclusive women's health care. LRT can contribute to that by improving mobility within the city, improving access to healthcare centers, and providing a transportation option that is welcoming to women of all identities and orientations. Specifically, a Bay Street stop will provide access to the Dave Braley Health Science Center, other medical specialists that have their offices located within the core, the Public Health Office in the tower in Jackson Square, the OHIP offices, and other medical facilities. Transit provides women with access to higher paying jobs, improving our economic security and benefiting the economic health of the communities we live in. Women's March has already committed to dismantling economic barriers to women's full and equal access to the economic systems. LRT, with the economic uplift it is projected to generate and the improved ease of movement within the city it will provide, can help dismantle some of the to higher paying jobs downtown, access to government facilities necessary for economic security such as identification offices, city hall services, and federal government services on Bay Street will all be provided by a Bay Street stop. LRT offers the city the opportunity to acknowledge and represent the unique transit needs of women. An influential 1999 study in Austria determined that on average, women take transit trips more often and for a wider variety of purposes than men. LRT will enable the city to provide a reduction in trip time as well as accessible vehicles that can accommodate the infants, toddlers, and elderly relatives that so often accompany women on their transit trips. A Bay Street stop, by acknowledging the frequency and variety of these trips made by women, will reduce their transit time relative to men and represent them more equally in the transit system. LRT can also contribute to women's safety. Well-lit, clean, physically welcoming stations increase feelings of safety, which increase utilization of the transit system by women, especially with a Bay Street stop providing an opportunity for women to access rapid transit more frequently will enable them to overcome fear. Movement is also committed to environmental justice. It says right in the Unity Principle, clean air, and access to and enjoyment of our public lands. LRT can help in the provision of all of these aims. And ask that City Council please honor their commitment to going forward with LRT and reconsider their decision to not move forward with a Bay Street stop.
Thank you, Anna. Councillor Aidan Johnson, please.
Thank you. An eco-feminist perspective on the question. It's a valuable lens, I would argue, through which to see LRT. And I have a question, and it's about an idea that occurred to me as a result of this delegation. Madam Deputy Mayor, we've heard a lot of arguments today about the economic case for LRT. Literally mobilizing female workers and permitting Hamilton women to be a more integrated part of our urban and regional economy through transit. Is it not the case that the feminist case for LRT is indeed in part an economic case for LRT in that mobilizing and empowering female workers, as we know, is inherently good for the economy overall. I wonder if she would agree with that analysis or whatever feedback she might have.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Through the chair, that's a very good point that you raise. And in fact, the OECD Development Assistance Committee Gender Equality GenderNet report in 2012 stated women must have more equitable access to assets and services, infrastructure. Programs should be designed to benefit the poor, both men and women, and employment opportunities must have greater employment opportunities and yield to the economic health of the city overall.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the delegation. Cheers.
Thank you. Councillor Green.
That having a gender-based lens on policy and decision making, I'm hopeful that we can see this council get to that space. And I know it's been a conversation at Status of Women and other committees, and something I'm certainly interested in. And I'm not sure if you've had a chance to peek at the community benefits presentation. It'll be happening here, but given your understanding of this project and given what you've seen both in your personal and professional life, what would you see as potential community benefits using a gender-based lens for an analysis?
Thank you, Councillor Green. Through the chair, I have not actually had a chance to review that very in depth. I'm looking forward to having a chance to read more and look at those findings. In a very anecdotal sort of way, speaking with other women in the community, a rapid transit system that provides clean, well-lit, and access enables greater mobility for women with young children. It provides greater mobility for women with mobility issues, with elderly relatives or friends that are traveling with them. And also with very specific regards to the Bay Street stop, I think we all know women who do not feel safe in the downtown area. And who feel very nervous coming down here, especially after dark. By providing them with a safe location to wait for transit that comes quickly and reliably and can get them out of a situation that makes them uncomfortable in a very short period of time, we are looking at increased utilization of that system by women and increased comfort traveling within the city and within the system.
It's a fantastic answer. What I would like to do, Madam Deputy Mayor, is actually provide for you just 3 points for your consideration. And the reason why, Madam Deputy Mayor, is because I believe as we move forward in the LRT subcommittee and the community benefits framework comes out, we're actually going to be looking for community partners. And so the community benefits framework looks like local investment and procurement from businesses. So we know, Madam Deputy Mayor, many of our small businesses are in fact led and owned and operated by women. So there's a huge opportunity there along the project corridor. It identifies opportunities to partner with local workforce agencies to hire workers in historically disadvantaged and equity-seeking communities. Obviously, Madam Deputy Mayor, gender is a major disadvantaged and equity-seeking community even to this day. And thirdly, there's an interesting one here with specifics working with constructor and various subcontractors. Madam Deputy Mayor, we're seeing large opportunities for